chest, punched him in his chest like twice, and he slapped him in his face.
At first, Bianca said the 6-year-old had drowned, but during questioning, her story began to fall apart. She described the horrible things that happened to the child, and before they could put a stop to it, things had gone terribly wrong.
The bathroom, and he turned on the shower. It's like to get the cold water to like shower him, so Joe was good, like wait. As he was walking to the bathroom, he said that, so Joe was fine.
July 5th, 2022, Kissimmee, Florida. Deputies were called to a room at the Knights Inn after a report that a 6-year-old child was unconscious. The first information made it sound like an accident. The caller said something was wrong with the boy. Then came the disturbing detail. The child's head had reportedly been in a toilet. When the first deputy reached the room, the door was locked, but someone was screaming inside. The mother eventually opened the door. Behind her was the child's father, Larry Rhodes, carrying the 6-year-old in his arms. The deputy immediately took the child and began CPR, and the father told officers that the child had swallowed a large amount of water. Officers applied life-saving measures and immediately prepared the victim for transport.
For the 112, is it 10-4 to cancel traffic?
10-4. So we're gonna
all units 1066 and 33 on west and 1534.
Yeah. That's mom. Who's gonna be?
However, officers noticed something else. There were 5 other children inside the room. They ranged from infants to about 5 years old, but one of them immediately stood out. A 4-year-old boy had severe bruising across his face and fresh-looking cuts around his mouth. When an officer spoke with him, the child gave a shocking answer. He said his father had beaten him. At that point, this was no longer looking like a simple drowning. Officers were beginning to see signs of something much bigger. As paramedics continued working on the 6-year-old, Larry tried to leave.
1025
Huh?
Hey, did you get any information at all?
No, not yet. Bro, you cannot leave yet. You cannot leave yet. I understand. I understand. All right, go ahead. It's going to the hospital. It's going to the hospital, okay? The trunk.
He wanted to go to the hospital, but officers stopped him. Given the severity of the situation and what they had already discovered inside the room, Larry was detained while investigators worked to separate everyone and figure out what had happened.
What you were trying to request?
The 1020, that's Sierra 11 needs unit 512.
Up to the 011. Can you just 10-9 your last? Where do you need a unit? I was landline.
I'm at call 490. I need 2 additional units. 351. Any non-priority call to wait.
121 on Sylvia 51.
10-4, 115, 22.
Right now, you're being detained. Do you understand that? I'm not asking you any questions. Do you understand that? I'll put you inside my car. What'd you do with your phone?
That wasn't my phone, that was my phone. Oh yeah, my phone is not even on.
Step inside. I'll put the AC on. 112 LCL, 1 black male detained.
Bianca and Larry were taken into custody. However, they did not cooperate with homicide detectives. But during Bianca's first court appearance, she learned that she could face a mandatory life sentence. That changed her position.
So there's going to, because it's an investigation, and depending on what comes out of it, that's ultimately up to the state attorney's office as to who testifies or who doesn't or who's needed to testify. I can't make any promises that you wouldn't. There's a strong possibility that you would. So, but that's something that's way later on down the road, okay? So I just want to make sure that we kind of understand, how we got here today, okay? And Latasha is
His auntie.
auntie. So what do you call her? Like your auntie too?
Anyway,
Yeah.
the only auntie that I like of his, yeah.
Yeah. And then your sister Vanessa, they called me today and they said you would want to talk to me. And I originally went down there and you had said no, which is okay. And then I guess you called them and then they reached out to me and they said you wanted to talk. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anything you say may be used against you in court. Do you understand? So obviously, I'm investigating what happened to Sergio and the boys, and I was hoping that you could tell me, what happened to Sergio the other day.
caught him in the bathroom drinking the water. And I saw him out of the bathroom because I was getting ready to use the bathroom. I saw him out the bathroom and I told him to go to the corner. His dad had jumped out of his sleep and he stopped him from going. And he like questioned him on what he was doing. And he punched him in his chest. Punched him in his chest like twice. And then when he came out of the bathroom, he threw on the floor and I screamed at him.
And how many times did he punch him?
It was about twice.
Yeah.
And then he slapped him in his face. That was before the punches.
So he slapped him and then punched him, or punched him and then slapped him?
He slapped him and then he punched him. And after the second punch, Sergio fell backwards and he had like this sigh. And I started screaming what happened to him. And I started screaming what happened. And he picked him up and carried him to the bathroom. And he turned on the shower. And as he was walking to the bathroom, he said that Sergio was fine. And he came back out and he said, call the ambulance. And I called the ambulance.
Yeah. Was Sergio saying anything at this time? No. Was Sergio still awake? No.
I heard like a faint sigh come from him. I knew that something was wrong.
Where were all the other kids when this happened?
They were in the room, they were laying down.
Where were they all laying down at?
In the bed, Daddy's sleeping.
Is this the first time you've ever seen Larry hit Sergio or any of his siblings?
No, he does it often.
Yeah, can you kind of tell me about that?
When they do stuff that he feels like it's like, when he feels like they're misbehaving, he hits them. And at times he definitely takes it too far. And he can be very abusive.
When you say he takes it too far and he's abusive, what does that mean to you?
It could be small things and he'll still hit them. Like if they don't eat, like if they take their time eating, it'll make him mad and he'll hit them. And like scream at them to eat. If they pee in bed, he would hit them.
And unfortunately, the abuse wasn't limited to the children. Bianca also described herself as a victim of Larry's violence.
Has he ever hit you?
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
If I try to say something about him hitting the kids, he would put his hands on me.
What does that mean?
He would like hit me. He would punch me.
About how many times do you think that's happened?
A couple.
Any since you've come to Kissimmee?
Yes.
How many times?
Right here. So I don't know if you can really see
Yeah, I can see it a little.
It's for being punched in my hand.
When did he do that?
It was I don't know the exact date, but one time I said something about him hitting the kids. He whipped them on the butt with the shoe, and like it broke their skin. And I told him about it, and he got mad, and he
Is your hand, do you need medical attention for your hand?
It doesn't hurt anymore.
Is it okay if I look at it again? How long ago do you think that happened? Were you staying at the Knights Inn already, or were you at the other hotel?
At the Knights Inn. It started at that hotel.
Yeah. Is that when everything started? And when did you move there again?
I believe it was late April.
It was late April. Had he ever used violence before you guys moved to the Knights Inn at the end of April? Have he ever become violent with you or hit you or?
Not like when we came up to Orlando, but living in our old houses, he has used violence.
Can you tell me about those instances?
I mean, there was just one time.
Are you still afraid of him? Yeah.
Investigators began learning more about how the children were punished. Bianca described injuries the children had suffered, and then she described another method Larry allegedly used.
Do you know how he got the mark on his eye?
But it's probably from his dad hitting him.
Have you ever seen him hit him in the face or anything like that?
No, I was on his back.
When he hits him on his back, what does he use anything or?
He uses his hands. He has these very huge hands and he hurt.
What about the bruise on his chest? Have you seen that before? Before I showed you the picture the other day? No. Did Larry ever mention anything to you about acting out and him having to, or him hitting him or anything like that? No. What about, I got that right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. How about them? How does he ever have to discipline them?
Yeah, I've seen him whoop them on their butt a few times. He uses his hand, and that's like being very strong, you know.
What would he have to spank them for? Whoop them for?
Them not eating.
Do they not like to eat?
They eat, it's just when they eat the same thing, like often they don't like to eat it as much. So
do you know, you're gonna have to forgive me because I don't remember, that has the bruise on her face. Do you know how she got that?
No, but it was probably their dad hitting them.
When we had originally spoke, you had mentioned that maybe the sisters had hit each other. Do you think is that a possibility, or do you think it came from him? Is there a reason why your opinion on how that may have happened changed?
They do fight a lot, but I don't too much know. With the boys, again, he say he's not going to raise any sissies, or say his boy's not going to grow up like B-I-T-C, just
You can say the word, it's okay.
like bitches. And like he would use closed fists, and he would like punch them, and he would like slap them as well.
Why would he do that?
I don't know. He always used to say that growing up after he was raised by women, and his mom and them used to do him the same way.
You said that he sometimes punches him and things like that. Have you ever seen him use anything other than his hands?
Yes, the shoe.
The shoe? Can you tell me about when he's used the shoe?
He basically, I've seen him with one, but probably twice with the shoe, especially, and it broke his skin on his bottom. And the other, like cuts and stuff, it look like burns, but they come from, at least the ones on his side, they come from being hit with the shoe in the same spot. It strips the skin.
Have you ever seen him, you mentioned that he was, hitting them hard enough that it was like tearing the skin. Have you ever seen the kids bleed after being hit by Larry?
A few times, yes, and he would like use hydrogen peroxide and stuff to clean it up and put Band-Aids on.
Authorities discovered that the children had been living in terrible conditions. They had reportedly been isolated and were not attending school. Investigators also found evidence consistent with repeated physical abuse. Forensic examination linked markings on the children's bodies to the bloody pattern on the sole of a shoe recovered from the motel room. The 6-year-old's injuries also told a very different story from the original claim of drowning. Doctors found severe internal injuries, including a brain bleed and a lacerated liver. He had been placed on life support, but after several days he died. By this point, Bianca was no longer describing an accident. She was describing a household where she had to live in fear of her own partner.
I'll tell you, like I told you, earlier, you do have 5 kids that are still in the hospital. DCF is making sure they're safe. right now, okay? Because obviously, fortunately you're incarcerated, so I want to make sure that they're safe, and DCF does that. And they're working on making sure that they find a safe home, whether that's with family or whoever for right now, okay? And obviously, that Sergio passed. And your mom is able to, make arrangements with Yami and stuff. If you could tell your kids anything, what would you tell them?
I had told them that I was going to try to get them out of that situation.
Why do you feel like you let them down? Sure. You didn't tell us what happened?
Because I was scared.
What were you scared of?
Larry.
What specifically, though? What made you scared of Larry?
Because I was just afraid.
After the investigation, Larry Rhodes was later indicted and faced charges connected to his son's death and the abuse of the other children. In April 2025, a jury found him guilty of first-degree murder, 2 counts of aggravated child abuse, and 4 counts of child abuse. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole, plus 35 additional years. Bianca Blaze pleaded guilty to manslaughter and child neglect and agreed to testify against Larry. She faced up to 40 years in prison.